Hello, and welcome back to Let's Replay Mystery Case Files Ravenhearst. I'm MCFPapa, and this is part 5. And now, before we get started with this episode, I'd just like to point out a few weird things in the help section. First of all, on this page, they have a mock-up of the Manor floor plan, but it's the grounds that's selected, but it uses the attic, which is part of the tower. And even on the tower page, that isn't the positioning of the attic. I don't know if they just wanted to really showcase the locked room concept or what. But then, the most interesting thing is on this page, where the dining room has 9 items to find. Like, that's really interesting. It makes me wonder if originally they were planning on making each location have more items. Maybe they were planning on increasing it to 10 items, like what Madame Fate did. But instead they opted to go with 8 items per scene, like what Huntsville and Prime Suspects had. I don't think it would be that they were, like, considering having each item be its own unique thing. Like, if you needed to find, like, 2 of something, have it count for 9 items to find on the list instead of 8, because you need to find 1 extra. But I don't think that's the reason, because, like, they didn't do that in Huntsville and Prime Suspects, and then they opted to not do that in this game or in Madame Fate. Just really interesting. Oh, and now we get our first look at the garage. And this whole location is the weirdest garage I've ever seen. Because first of all, why would the house need a garage if it was built in 1895 or whenever? That's the year, right? Yeah, 1895. Like, why would it need a garage? For the horses? I don't know. And then, in this location, it's more, looks like a van from, like, the 70s or something. Maybe the idea is that there's actually been, like, several previous owners of Ravenhearst. Or at least the idea was that when they released this game, but then later on they decided to really expand the lore and change some things. But also, like, how did this van even get here? Is there, like, a driveway or a path there? Not that I can see. And anyway, it doesn't even look more like a vehicle. It looks more like it's a cable car or a tram or something. Just a weird scene altogether. And also there's a couch and a table and rug. Like, what garage that you know of that keeps vehicles parked in it also has, like, furniture? maybe it was meant to be something else. I'm not sure what, but maybe they were designed that scene as something else, but then didn't know what to call it or wanted to change it, so they made it a garage then. I don't know. I do like in this location that you can see Ravenhearst Manor in the background. Really helps sell it as like its own connected part. I point out Ravenhearst in the background and two of the items are there and I don't even notice them. Aha. And now this level, I guess because it's got slightly fewer rooms, it only has 2 items you can miss when the previous level had 3. I always thought it was weird that, like, this saw here, the handle isn't programmed quite right, so it doesn't show up properly. But the items themselves in this game have their own unique style to them that feels different from the other classic MCF games. I mean the ones that they made for this game, not ones of items they've reused from other past MCF games. I do wish there was some more variety though in the end of level puzzles. Because this one's okay, but it's the sepia tone of the image just makes it less interesting to me than the one in Huntsville. Even though it's somewhat the same thing. Except the one in Huntsville was like moving 2 tiles at a time around. Anyway, entry 9, June 1st, unwell. I'm feeling unwell and retired shortly after dinner this evening. I'm certain that my malaise is the product of sad goodbyes and the stress of leaving England so abruptly. It's probably apprehension regarding my father's condition. June 2nd, the ship upon which I booked passage to New York has already departed without me. I've contracted a high fever and find it difficult to stand for even short periods of time without intense vertigo. concern for my father's health has gained a friend in my fear for my own well-being. Charles has graciously offered boarding and attendance within his newly completed manor until I am well enough to make the long journey home. Well, wasn't that nice of Charles? I'm sure he has nothing malicious in mind with her. There's a creepy baby whose eyes follow you around. And then you just need to move the 4, like, arrows, which aren't really arrows, but they're other things. And then you power up a toilet. And then you help a mountain climber up the mountain. And then he pulls the string connected to a hammer to bash open the baby doll's head. And then you get access to the attic. Pretty weird. Here's the attic on the map. And the attic has this really creepy doll, like sitting on it, a rocking chair, wheelchair. I guess it's a wheelchair. And there's cat noise for some reason in the background. Like, I could understand a cat noise in, like, one of the first floor locations, like the entry. Like a cat walking in and out of the house, but way up in the attic? I don't know about that. Kinda weird that the hand is holding a steak. Like, what was so important about the steak? It had to be stored in a hand. Oh, and yeah, the macaroni is just in a big jar that's just so hard to even tell it's supposed to be macaroni. Now, like this whole surveillance room, it had to have been set up by like Victor or something. Because it makes no sense for the house to have such a thing when it was built in 1895. Unless maybe going back to what I said in the garage, they had maybe thought that in this game, like, their feelings were that there were a lot of previous owners in the mansion in between. And because it makes a lot more sense in this game for there to be previous owners, but in Return to Ravenhearst, it makes very little sense for there to be previous owners, given the fact that there was a whole underground system that was used reasonably often. And had people trapped in there for years at least. I don't know, you'd think someone would have found it by now. Like, a previous owner could have figured out the stupid fireplace puzzle in Return to Ravenhearst, which isn't even really a puzzle as much as it is just finding two symbols and matching them. Maybe that's why they didn't really focus on the mansion in the sequels, because like the things in the mansion didn't make much sense with the world they were crafting. That's spooky though, like ghostly cherub in the like burnt wallpaper. I was expecting a sort of like black leather glove, not a winter like kid's glove. Oh, and now here again, you're allowed to miss 3 items. Entry 10. Unusual behavior. While my malady goes undiagnosed, I am left to search medical encyclopedias for comparable symptoms. Although many have passed from yellow fever, I am thankfully not experiencing evidence to its presence. Charles takes good care of me, but lately has become rather withdrawn. I often hear peculiar sounds from his workshop, and he appears to be keeping odd hours. My accommodations are pleasant, and I spend the greater part of my day resting in hopes of regaining my strength. When possible, I enjoy exploring this wonderful, stately manor Charles has built, a most beautiful, albeit cluttered home. He appears to take great pride in procuring an absolute hoard of varied non-essentials. Now I like that because it at least gives a hand-wavy explanation for why there's so much junk in all the rooms in Ravenhearst Manor. Whereas, like, in the other games, they really didn't give much of an explanation for why there would be so many weird, disjointed items to find. So I like it's here, although it still doesn't explain the more modern items you need to find, like a fire alarm, or even a telephone. Well, I don't know when the telephone was invented exactly. They might have had them in 1895. But it would still be nowhere near as common as it is in this game. Anyway, that'll do it for this part, so like and subscribe if you want. I'll see you next time.